that's our life right now. We're just figuring it out. So I can't and I can't.
I apologize that we didn't become an ultra well-run machine, making a ton of money, employing a ton of people. Trust me, there's been so much like rookie coaching going on behind the scenes, more than I would ever want to go through. To the point where I feel like I've been through Teach for America in some ways, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've given so many people their start that I don't need to ever teach anything to anybody ever again. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the A3N Podcast. Woo, My name is David.
My name is Andrew.
And we are the Fung Brothers.
Yes. And guys, we got a really fun list to address today.
A fun list?
Yeah, I think it's fun. Interesting. Could be emotional. It's going to be the top 10 criticisms about the Fung Bros drawn from the comment section.
Wow.
Of our YouTube videos.
So we're talking about us personally, or more so our brand, or what we say, or our thoughts.
Let me tell you this, David.
And ideas.
It's a mixture of everything, but it's going to be less personal. But there's a couple personal attacks here. But I think these are common things that we've seen more than once because we do skim through. We try to skim through all the comments. So this is what we gathered, man.
Yeah, well, there's a lot less comments nowadays. There's a lot less to skim
you gotta cherish the comments that you get. All right, guys. Criticism of the Fung Bros. And this is, of course, over the span of 7.5 years on YouTube.
We've been doing this professionally for almost 8 years.
Yeah. So number one, we're just going to start off with, you encourage guys to change themselves to fit this certain image of cool, to get fades, wear sneakers, buy into hip hop and hypebeast culture. Why, guys? That's a criticism. People attack us for that.
Guilty. But that's just what we like.
It's stuff that we're into.
We never said that people with other styles weren't valid.
Yeah.
You cannot find a single point in any video that we've ever made where we said, you know what? In fact, if you found another lane outside of the one we recommended in this video that works for you, you're wrong.
To me, we were teaching what we knew. And we know hip hop and we know kind of sneaker culture and everything like that. And to be honest, I think we have been influenced by it so deeply throughout our lives, and we found a lot of empowerment through it and a lot of strength through it. So that's just what we're teaching other people.
Yeah, and maybe that is why we fit into New York, because obviously a lot of the culture that we grew up on in South Seattle is influenced heavily by New York City.
Yeah.
So that means fades, taper fades.
Yeah.
It means getting the newest sneakers.
And by the way, guys, that's not like a weird culture. Like that's a very popular culture. It's
globally.
It's global now. Yeah.
I mean, House of Hoops. Every time, Andrew, you see the mannequins in House of Hoops, fresh fade.
Fresh fades, man. So I think to wrap this up, guys, we are kind of teaching what we know, and what we know is helpful. And we're not saying that there's not other ways to do it or to improve yourself, but I mean, that's the stuff we're into. So.
Do you think it was the people who maybe that look wouldn't have fit on them? Or maybe they, for example, aren't into hip hop, or, you know, the conventional Complex magazine, New York City standards of cool. And they were like, well, why don't you teach about the fob flop, you know, the Jay Chow flop or the K-pop flop?
You know what? Regrettably, I wish we could have expanded the ways of teaching and the culture that we were teaching. You know, I think, yeah, sure, we could have, but we didn't at the time because that's just what we knew. So I don't know what else to say other than acknowledging and saying like, yo, those are very valid too. But I think it's always
full transparency.
What?
We did not have any fob experts that were like,
we didn't turn anybody down.
Wes Chan never hit us up and said, bro, you know, the fades are cool and stuff, but let me come promote my like sort of futuristic Tokyo 3000 style. That never happened, right?
No.
And if we had turned down a bunch of those experts that are like, dude, I'm doing the emo like guitar cover band thing, you know, do you think we could sell that Daphne Loves Derby Asian guy
For sure.
On your thing, and then we totally would have been open to hearing
absolutely. You listen, and also if I'm the one doing the makeover and cutting the hair, I only know how to do like 3 hairstyles. So guess what? You're getting one of them.
So I guess what's the word, Andrew?
We're guilty of this. We're guilty of this, but I don't think being guilty of this is a bad thing. I just think it is what it is.
You know what it is? If I could go back and rectify this mistake, I wish at the end of the videos I would go, and by the way, guys, I know that there are other styles that are going to work for different people in different lanes.
Fair.
Because obviously, let's say, for example, people were like, man, I hate fades. I hate hip hop.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And some of them said that.
Why are you making me feel like I need to fit in that box?
And this is a whole larger topic, but I feel like we always threw in so many hip hop elements into our videos, but then still a lot of our fans like don't like hip hop. So I think that's like kind of funny.
Or
too,
they don't embrace it
in the way we do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. As part of their lifestyle.
Anyways, guys, point number 2, the second criticism against the Fung Bros. You guys call yourself Asian, but you are American. Andrew can't even speak Chinese.
I think I know that this sentence is typically got some weird spacing on it when it's written.
Yeah, I think grammatically, I think it's a little off too. So here, this comment is not wrong in a certain way, but it depends on where you're coming from. Depends on where the viewer is from. Now, I think if they're from America, they totally understand that in America, when you are of Asian descent and you appear to look Asian, you represent Asian and you're called Asian.
Right.
That's it. So and that's the identity that you have.
Right.
Right. People
we're not
call you
saying
that.
We're Asians from Asia.
Right.
Even though when we were growing up, I went to Asia.
But I think it's funny because every time we are in America and we're talking about Asian issues, people are always like, hey man, this is an Asian American issue, not an Asian issue. And I'm like, yeah, it's just the wording. Like literally, it's just because I don't want to use the syllables Asian American every time. Of course, we're Asians in America.
You're saying we're using some assumptive language and assumptive, like the context for the topics.
It's the context. And I think some viewers from Asia, which shout out to them, we do have viewers from Asia, but some people would always leave those comments accusing us of only having an American perspective.
Here's some food for thought. Let's say you're less Asian than an Asian because even though your parents are from Asia, you're raised in America.
Like for me, example, yes.
But every day you're the only Asian in the room, whether the room is 30 people or 300 people, and everybody's always asking you about being Asian every day and pointing you out as the Asian guy. Haven't you gone through more diplomatic ambassador type situations than an Asian who grew up in a country that was completely Asian?
Possibly.
You've been thrust into that situation and been forced to develop some ambassadorship that people who are raised in a society where everybody's from the same culture, they don't have to represent being Asian to the other Asian people.
I remember teaching kids how to use chopsticks in high school, and that's not something that you would do in Asia because everybody knows how to use chopsticks.
No, I've never seen anybody ask how to do it over there. It's just almost, I don't know, second nature.
Yeah, you're just supposed to know. Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. And so as far as this point, I'm for sure not as Asian. You're probably not as Asian either as an Asian from Asia. But in context, in America, in the Western world, in a Western country, in a English speaking country, like, we're Asian.
Hey man, I remember being singled out in citizenship class one time in 9th grade, and everybody asking me, like, if we went to war with China, what I was going to do, because my teacher was insistent that the next country that America was going to go to direct military ground-on-ground conflict was China.
Yeah.
And I remember the whole class looked back to me and was like, just stared at me for an answer and just went dead quiet.
What'd you say?
I didn't say anything because I was just like, I couldn't believe that the whole class turned around and looked at me. I was like,
because you were like, what? Am I now a spokesperson for China?
Yeah.
Or something?
I was like, y'all gonna put me in the camp right now? Like in the class? Like, no, but basically, obviously what I'm saying is we have a lot of experience speaking on behalf of a lot of Asian things. Not every Asian is put into that position growing up. We happen to be, and that's why I feel comfortable doing it. And that's why I do it. And I don't feel the need to explain myself every time. Well, you see, one time in citizenship class, everybody pointed me out and made me feel like a diplomat for all Asians. I could explain that, but I just go into, just go into it.
All right, point number 3, kind of related, but this is a kind of a similar criticism that we get is, you guys don't speak for all Asians. You only speak for yourself or even just Chinese.
Ooh.
Yeah, throw on just the Chinese.
The inter-Asian tribalism.
You guys are just Chinese.
Statistically, most Asians are Chinese, by the way. I'm not saying
no.
they represent.
Not that everybody is Chinese, but yeah, a lot of people are a little.
By far the biggest group, guys.
Let's just say a lot of people are a little Chinese too. No, and we have definitely made, for YouTubers in America, we've made a lot of Chinese videos. Yeah. And we've made a lot of other Asian videos as well, and a lot of non-Asian videos as well, by the way. We've covered our bases pretty well.
Yeah, we even made some of the best videos on YouTube about white people.
Yeah. We made videos about white people,
Jamaicans,
Lao food, Hmong food. I would say we covered maybe 98% of it. That's pretty good. And I do think, and I will attribute it, to be honest, that being Chinese, especially half Cantonese and half Northern Chinese, so kind of, in my mind, being pan-Chinese, not really having biases of the North or South Chinese of our heritage or whatever, and growing around so many Southeast Asians, in the Seattle area, I feel like that we were kind of put in a position to cover all the bases of most of the Asian countries.
Yeah.
Like that was a job fit for us.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense that we grew up with a lot of it.
Sought that shoe out and put that shoe, and not only did we seek that shoe out, guess what? That shoe fit.
Yeah.
And when the shoe fits, you wear it.
Like, do you guys know another like Asian YouTube channel that was able to cover all these different Asian cultures and make it feel fun? And
we have regular, legitimate friends of every single type of Asian ethnicity.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I speak on their behalf, but I am very inquisitive and constantly asking them questions.
Now, about the Chinese thing, I think that there's been moments where we have pointed out and made a point to point out that certain things came from China to remind people. Not saying that Japanese ramen today came from China, but la mian, did come from China. Things like
fact.
That.
Like a Japanese person will tell you.
Yeah, and obviously it's a fact that like jjajangmyeon is Chinese, and then it went to Korea. You know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that, and I feel like sometimes people don't like hearing that.
Right. Yeah, because
I'm not trying to be like,
people think that Chinese things are whack.
Yeah, and
people are hating on Chinese things, to be honest. I mean, and I get why. I'm not saying, you gotta, you could keep thinking whatever you want to think, but I'm just saying, I think that a lot of people don't give Chinese people their props. Because there's so much negative stuff out there.
I'm not here to say Chinese is the best, it's better than this or that, guys. I'm just trying to say, hey, Chinese is not bad. And I feel like some people play it like it's bad. And that's all I'm saying.
They play it like the assumptive narrative is that it's supposed to be bad.
Yeah, that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to...
I don't think the assumptive narrative of being anything is bad.
No. There's bad and good of everything, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe some people, if you're from this group or that group, you might have a little bit more ammo to insult somebody with here and there. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're just talking, everybody has good and bad.
Everything has good and bad. All right, we'll leave it at that, guys. Point number 4, the 4th criticism. And it's kind of funny that we're going through criticisms on us, on ourselves. Like it's kind of fun to reflect back and kind of explain ourselves, I guess. Point number 4 is you guys categorize things way too much, like types of people, types of Asians. Like, what is even the difference between an LA Asian and a New York Asian, East Coast, West Coast, NorCal, SoCal? Why do you guys got to categorize?
First of all, it's actually a Trojan horse to talk about culture. A lot of times when we talk about LA versus New York, one of the biggest comments I got were from very interested cultural white or black people that had spent time on both coasts, and they said, aside from the very few specific Asian things you guys mentioned, these are just cultural differences. Like, people in general, like white people from the East Coast to West Coast are different as well. Obviously, there are some Asian specific things, but I noticed that you guys just did a really great job of explaining culture, period.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you that obviously those lists were accurate. If people go, for the most part, that was true for my, save for a few details, that was true for my ethnicity as well.
And what I don't like is like sometimes people are like, oh, there's no difference between Asians. I'm like, wait, so if there's a difference between East Coast and West Coast culture, which that is very well defined, Asians aren't part of it. Asians aren't part of the West Coast culture. Asians aren't part of the East Coast culture.
Like it doesn't shift our algorithm.
What, like we're just the same? Like we're a monolithic group everywhere we are? Like, no, I don't believe that. And also, like when it comes to the types of Asian girls, I know that we got some backlash. For the most part, people enjoy that video, and I think it's funny. And we had a lot of people like tell us in positive ways, like, yo, I learned something about myself, or like I kind of know how to label myself now. Humans like labels. They like categorization. That's how we kind of process things, and that's how we make sense of complicated information.
Putting things into buckets.
Yeah, you have to put things in buckets. Now, the fact that we even put it into 18 buckets and then told you, yeah, there's combinations that can lead up to like, I don't know, 800 or 1,000 combinations of
1,800, I believe.
Yeah, and I was just like, we're just expanding the box. Like, you think we're putting you in a box? We're just multiplying the boxes and then making them bigger. Yeah, I guess you can say that there's still boxes. There's always going to be stereotypes. There's always archetypes. There's always types and categories. They're always going to exist. That's how humans' brains work. So I'm just saying, like, let's just expand it, and give people a larger breadth of descriptions for themselves,
And even if you disagree, it at least stimulated your mind to formulate an argument and a logic and reasoning why you disagree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, man, I'm not saying everybody has to agree with everything we said on the channel over the past 8 years. It's just designed to stimulate your mind.
Exactly, man. And you know what? Here's my last point. I'm like, okay, so you don't like categories? Then don't ever take another personality test. Myers-Briggs. What are you trying to do? They're trying to categorize you. Yeah. Oh, you're ENTJ, blah, blah. Your letters? Your personality is defined by 4 letters? Really? I was like, that's a pretty big simplification, but everybody loves that personality test. So
don't even pay attention to dog breed descriptions.
Yeah, don't pay attention to any non-1,000 word description of things. How about that? Like, just chuck it out the window. Just be like, no, too much. Anyways, guys, moving on. This one's a good one. Oh, this one hurts. Number 5. You guys made cheesy boba songs.
That's a fact.
All factual. All factual.
We did. We made cheesy boba songs, and I remember this. First of all, I think some people are mad at how boba, we were right about boba becoming like the icon of Asian America.
That's why that Eater article just came out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some people are mad that it is, and that it fits so well in the Asian American culture right now, or the Asian Western culture. I get it. But hey, man, that's where our community was at the time. We made a song. I remember making the song and being like, we had this conversation. We're like, this is a little cheesy. And we're like, but it's going to be cool. It's going to work. It's going to spread the message. It's going to get it out there. And it
worked,
did.
yeah.
And it did.
You guys, we used to only rap purely off DJ Premier beats.
David, you used to battle rap random people.
Yeah.
This is the purest form of like battle competition,
Smack
bro.
DVD and
freestyle
rap
battles.
URL.
This is before the battles were written and rehearsed and all theatrical.
Oh, it had to be off the top.
You were going off the top. This was like back in the day, and it's like that. We know what real rap is, guys. We know. Just because we don't do it, or we're not capable of doing it, or we don't think it'd work for us, doesn't mean we don't know. Yeah. But I still stand by Boba Life. I stand by 626. We wrote those lyrics. We made those songs. They made the impact. People talked about them. They wrote articles about them. So I'm like, hey, we made songs that people wrote articles about. I'm proud of that. Albeit a little cheesy.
I think we always knew what was going to work. And I do wish that we were, honestly, I was going to say I wish we would have made some more regular music, but I'll tell you this, it wouldn't have worked. I wish that we would have transitioned and made a few more hits that were like a little bit less cheesy. But overall, there's no real regrets.
I will say this, that when you do release songs like Boba Life, you are pretty much giving in your I'm a real rapper card.
Yeah. You turn that in.
And that was a sacrifice we made, guys. Criticism number 6. This is a fun one. And we get this a lot to this day. We've got this for 7 years straight. And it's always interesting because I'm like, are these new people leaving this comment every time?
Right.
You guys try to act so black. And it's ridiculous. Some form of that, right? You guys, why do you guys act so black? These people who act so black, they act so black. Like, there's just okay.
Right. Which is a complicated thing to say. As much as everybody acts black in 2019, like what is Justin Bieber if we act black? Or what is
Urban
FaZe Clan? Or what is Logan Paul and Jake Paul trying to free Meek Mill? If you know what I mean, what's that?
Yeah, I think obviously the whole phrase act black is very loaded in itself. I think there's a lot of debate on what that even means.
Right. If that's even an okay concept to rock with, right?
Is there other words that make more sense? Do you guys try to act urban? You guys try to act like rappers? You guys try to act hip hop all the time? I mean, basically, this is what we grew up with. And this is part of our personality and part of our life experience, you know?
Our family friend / cousin, who we call our cousin, which is already, I guess, more hip hop when somebody's not your cousin and you call him your cousin.
We don't call him cuz, though. We do call him cousin.
He is our cousin. But he introduced us to XXL, The Source, Slam Magazine. And this is...
basketball sneakers.
This is when I'm like 10 and you're like 8.
Yeah.
So that's already embedded, throughout adolescence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do want to make a distinction, and this is already a tough conversation to have in this 1 minute that we're going to spend addressing this. It's like a difference between what people consider ghetto and hip hop culture.
Those two things are different.
It's different. Yes, they are oftentimes closely related.
There's overlap.
And correlated. But I would like to think of ourselves as more part of the hip hop culture.
Yeah, I would say
if one or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we understand both. Guys, listen, if you still think we act black in 2019 and I don't know, maybe it's because we're like some of the most Asian looking people on YouTube that act like that. I don't know.
I think that there's some sense that it's like you can't know that you can't make videos about why struggling to learn Mandarin and have some really strong opinions on where rhyme schemes have gone in 2019, I guess those two things have to exist mutually exclusive of each other.
We're multifaceted, complicated people. Criticism number 7. Sometimes you guys take painful and serious issues and make too light of them, or you don't talk about serious topics enough.
Wow.
So,
hey, I know exactly where this criticism came from.
So this wasn't actually a comment, but I've seen this comment before, but really there was this article that was written about one of the videos that I'd done, the no dating Asian policy interview video at USC. And the author, who was very smart, and, I respect the guys, this whole camp of people, but they were kind of criticizing, particularly me in this video.
The author went to Harvard.
The author went to Harvard, so trust me, I am taking your words with great consideration, sir. He was kind of criticizing me on how irreverent I was and how unserious and lighthearted this video was when we're talking about the dating dynamics of Asian guys and Asian women, and how some Asian women reject Asian guys. And then there was even an Asian girl who was accused of dating a white guy in front of me, and this whole thing happened. It was kind of funny at the time. It was a lighthearted incident, but it had a lot of serious undertones and meaning behind it. And I think pretty much the article was how can you guys just sit there and laugh when this guy's clearly sad that he got turned down by this girl because he's Asian and she likes white guys, or something like that.
Right. Amongst other things, because I think that we are, first of all, I know some people don't make this categorization, but we're comedians.
And not everybody, we don't always remind people of that.
Yeah, because it's murky on the medium of and platform of YouTube. It just makes it murky.
We do stand-up comedy.
We started doing stand-up. I opened up for Ken Jeong, Elliot Chang, Steve Byrne, Kevin O'Shea when I was 21.
Yeah, or 20. Or 20.
Yeah, like
young.
many years ago.
Young.
You know what I mean? So I already knew about like agencies and 5-minute sets and 10-minute sets all the way back then, but I just felt like that path wasn't going to work for me. So basically, long story short, guys, me and Andrew are still figuring it out as comedians, as intelligent people who ended up on this platform, and this platform requires a very specific tone to make money and become successful.
And to get views. I mean, I'm telling you guys.
There's a YouTube dialect that you have to speak to get hits on YouTube.
Like, David, think of what happened. A YouTube video is made and the serious response is written in an article on a online magazine. So just think of the rift between that. Of course, one thing is super serious and one thing is lighthearted because one, I'm on a college campus. These kids are like 19. They're just fun, like whatever, you know? And then also it's like, I'm trying to make it fun because also, you know, to be honest, comedy is oftentimes a coping mechanism with frustration or sadness or pain or whatever.
You still wanted to make that video pop and be like,
listen, I wanted people
commercially viable.
I wanted people to watch the video. First and foremost, if it's serious, if it has a serious tone and I'm angry the whole time and everybody's bitter and frustrated, no one's going to watch the video. No one's going to share it. But since it's lighthearted, the message is going to get out. And this is kind of like us making Boba Life. Like sometimes you got to make it pop so that the world sees it because ultimately you need people to see it.
To have the impact.
So,
fair play though by
fair. You know what?
Plan A.
Hey, guilty of that one. But like I said, just because I'm guilty, I don't think it's the worst thing.
By the way, I do think that there's an opportunity for a total tone switch up on the channel. And I think it's taking place right now.
Would they like to hear it?
And I'm excited to move forward further down that path because I do think that people, I mean, maybe they don't want to see the hosty, presenty, what we call TV style content as much anymore, as is shown by some of the recent metrics.
The analytics. It's in the analytics.
So, point taken.
All right, guys. Smart guys, Harvard guys. I got it.
Dad would be so proud that Harvard guys were writing about your
you said Dad would be so proud.
Yeah.
You just threw that in. Yeah. I'll tell Dad next time. Hey, Dad, by the way, some Harvard guys wrote about me specifically. All right, number 8. You guys never evolved with the changes in YouTube. I don't know. I just saw this comment. I don't know. How do you unpack this, man? Is it true? I mean, I guess a lot of these criticism have some truth to it. Like they're
for sure.
I mean, some good observation. Jeez,
we've known that we haven't been evolving with the punches or, you know, the dramatic changes in the environment for like 3 years now, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're just trying to you don't even have yourself figured out. You don't know what larger goals anything's leaning to. You're not meeting the right artistic collaborators to put you in that mind space. You're not taking the individuals isolated trips to put yourself in your mental in that right space. So it is what it is. I think we see it now. But yeah, it's when you're trying to keep the gears grinding, it's easy to sort of like overlook it.
Let me go out and admit something. You know, I think we didn't always handle the changes or the moves as well as we wished.
Whether it's the physical moves or
personnel moves. Listen, we moved a lot physically. That means we worked with a lot of different people and we had a lot of different vibes and attitudes and goals at certain times. And, at certain times we wanted to do this and at certain times we're focused on that. Oh, we want to do movies. Oh, we want to do this. So it's been hard and I apologize to people who have tried to follow for a while.
They don't even know what city we're living in.
Yeah, they're still asking. We've been in LA for like almost a year now, and people are still asking us, hey, did you guys just get back from New York? I'm like, damn, you guys lost tune with the channel like that. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm sorry, but that's our life right now. We're just figuring it out. So I can't and I can't.
I apologize that we didn't become an ultra well-run machine, making a ton of money, employing a ton of people. Trust me, there's been so much rookie coaching going on behind the scenes, more than I would ever want to go through. To the point where I feel like I've been through Teach for America in some ways, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like I've given so many people their start that I don't need to ever teach anything to anybody ever again. I'm not blaming it all on the help. For me, I didn't.
Heavy statements.
I didn't know where I was doing with my life either, but I'm just saying I did a lot of coaching to a lot of really young people that were working on the back end of this channel. I don't want to do it anymore.
And they weren't going to get coaching anywhere else. So, you should be commended for that.
We have a heart for the Asian community.
I mean, for any community, we worked with a lot of different people. And I apologize for the lack of consistency. Trust me, we don't love it either. Trust me, we don't love it. Okay?
Well, it's funny because you got to live seeing an unevolved channel, right? As an audience. But we got to live the unevolved channel every day as a being.
Yo, man, I'm trying to evolve like a Pokemon, man.
What are you trying to make up for Lost Evolution time?
Blastoise, Charizard, wherever you're at. All right, guys. Number 9. Ninth main criticism. Oh, man.
Whew, hey, man, you got some zingers.
This is, this one's going to hurt. But in a way, it doesn't. You guys have the stereotypical ugly features. I've heard this word. They've left this comment. Chink faces. Unlike the famous good-looking celebrities in Asia, you guys are not even good-looking Asian Americans. This one actually doesn't hurt that much.
Nah, it doesn't. It doesn't, but I guess it's a little weird to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a little it's, you know what it is?
I get it. If you were going to draw a character in a comic book, if it wasn't a monk, like Krillin, for example, it would not look like me. In fact, it would look the opposite of me because the face would be very chiseled and angular and the nose would be very sharp and it just wouldn't look like how I look.
Yeah. I think it's funny you learn a lot about yourself from reading the comments on YouTube, and I realized early on in YouTube, I have very, very small eyes. Oh. And it's not that I didn't know that, but for it to be such a thing where the comment would pop up every so often, you're the chubby one and I'm the really chinky one. And
chubby chinky.
Don't call us that in the comment. I swear I'm gonna delete those. But or leave them up. It could be funny. But I definitely think it's funny because you think about all the Asian people on YouTube and the ones that are really putting themselves out there and maybe acting in the very confident and charismatic way that we do. We're some of the more Asian-y looking people out there.
Yeah.
And even me. Yeah. Maybe even me more than you. But yeah. So I still have acne too. So I can't, I don't have the most beautiful features going on right now. I got it. I don't mind my small eyes, by the way. I'm proud of them.
I think for me,
it was a
I think for
learning process.
It was it really was never the internet comments, but sometimes living in LA doing entertainment, people are like, you're famous looking like that.
Yeah, those are
I think that's when I used to be like, oh man, I didn't even ask you. You bringing that up.
I'm telling you, man, everybody in LA is like a mini casting agent.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, I could see you like this, or why don't you play this? I didn't even ask. Who are you?
Yeah.
What?
I think that there was times where for sure it was jarring though.
You know what's funny is because even though a lot of our views are from America and heavily from California, we're not part of Hollywood. we operate kind of in like a global platform. You know, YouTube. Like we can have fans in Singapore and Philippines and whatever.
Right.
In Taiwan and Hong Kong or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, but then you're around LA, and then they give you the LA treatment, and it's kind of like,
well, it's more subject to local domestic standards,
and you're like, I am close to Hollywood.
Well, you know, there's that shirt that always says, "Too ugly for LA, too dumb for New York."
That's a funny shirt. Who wears that? Like, who was wearing that when you saw it?
I don't know. It's just on the internet. It's funny. I mean, these are the stereotypes. LA is a magnetic hub for aesthetic people, and New York is a magnetic hub for like people with very advanced degrees.
Yeah. And you know what? I do got a feel for a lot of the female YouTubers out there, because I know that, especially if they're like a beauty guru or something, they get their looks analyzed on a level that we probably don't.
Right.
So
it's way less for dudes.
Yeah. But with that said, we definitely get the judgment.
That being said, though, to directly address the comment, I really don't think it's bad to have Asian features.
I'm cool with it.
You know, especially even all the Asian features that people don't like. Like for me, it's almost like impossible for me to wear sunglasses because my nose bridge is so low.
You gotta get the Asian fit.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's really anything wrong with that. But when I got older, I was like, oh, society treats you worse when you have the stereotypical features.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're Asian with small eyes and you have a low nose bridge and you have like baby face or whatever, Nyatni,
Sure.
just the things that like everybody's like trying to fight when they're trying to be considered beautiful in the Western world, or even in some sense to other Asians.
Yeah.
Even within that. That's where I was like,
no, it is
where I'm like, okay, it's not as strongly applied. All right, so the Asians that are successful in the Western world typically really have the Western features. Yeah. You know, the high nose bridges and the angular shapes and
oftentimes,
stuff like that.
yeah.
But then in a different way, sometimes the ones that are the stars in Asia also, to a lesser extent, have those features. Yeah. So then you're just like, yeah, I guess
well, that's just the star look over across the globe, is like, you got to have a sharp nose.
Right.
Yeah. Even if you're Asian or not. That's
right.
It.
Baby pug crazy thug. Ladies, holla at me.
I was going to say, make a joke. We'll just move on. Number 10, guys.
Everybody loves pugs. No,
yeah, no. If you like dogs, holla at Dave. Number 10. The 10th criticism. 10th most common criticism. And we're going to end off on this list. You guys act like every Asian guy should be super angry and complaining about their positioning in America. What if I love my life? What if I don't see a problem with it? You guys are complainers.
I am good at it. I'm really good at complaining.
You know what it is? I actually don't put ourselves in the complainer category. But I get why some people might say that.
Yeah,
I don't see it that way.
Because we complain more than some other people do.
The fact that we even make a video about the issues and we agree with them, people put us in the complainer category. But I'm like, yo, I'm out there living life. I'm out there representing. Believe me, you know, like I'm not locked in my room. It's just that you don't see me out there. I don't film myself out there all the time. But yeah, what you see is the video of us complaining, I guess.
Yeah, I do think that for certain Asian guys that are born into certain situations here and there, maybe they just don't even... It's really rare for me to think that an Asian guy doesn't feel some sense of being dismissed at some level in America. I find that really, really hard to believe. But if you've created a life for yourself where you truly do feel free from that, then we never told you to stop feeling that way. Because sometimes people don't optimize their life to like change the rules of the game. They just play the game they're dealt, and they're not trying to push the borders and push the refs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like petition the commissioner to change the rules. Like
I think some people don't want to think about it, even though they feel it. But they're like, you're making me think about it. I'm like, all right, you can turn off the video. But I'm like, this is, you know, it's helping a lot of other people. Obviously, we get a lot of great comments, and these are just a small percentage of the comments that we get. Most of the comments are like, yo, I agree. Thanks for talking about this. Thanks for bringing up this discussion. Like, it's helpful. And we're like, great. That's who it needs to see it. And the people who don't want to hear it, they don't need to hear it. But it's just not everybody's trying to hear it because not everybody wants to think about them. But I guarantee you that almost every Asian guy has felt that in some way. They felt invisible. They felt underrated. They felt dismissed and looked over or whatever, uglier than they are, or whatever, unwanted in a way that they shouldn't. They've all felt it, but people process things differently.
Yeah. And like we always said, I never said that there's only one right way to do it. That's like the domain of other YouTubers. For me, I always just said this is what we think as David, Andrew, Fung Bros.
What do you want us to bring on our tall, buff, good-looking Asian guy friends? Maybe we will in a future podcast, and then we can go talk with them about it, and you guys can see the perspective of a tall, buff model.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, guys, we're just saying our truths in our search for the truth and our truths that are ever evolving as the world evolves. And we just want to encourage you guys to share your opinion too. But you know what it is? I don't think, Andrew, that sharing your opinion and then another person going, I disagree with you. Technically, that's not sharing their opinion. They're just disagreeing with you.
Hey, you got to share your opinion, guys.
And appreciate you guys sharing your opinions. Appreciate you guys sharing your criticisms. Please make sure you give this video a big thumbs up because this was really just very lucid and just raw,
Dude, I thought this was very self-aware, man. Not every YouTuber would go out and pick apart the criticism against them. We said it. But yeah, no, that was fun. I thought that was good. It was maybe, would you say, cathartic in some way?
A little bit.
It was.
A little bit because, to be honest, we don't have a channel where that it's designed to be TV style. Yeah. And now we're breaking that third wall,
I just think
fourth wall, whatever.
Just to face these comments face to face and address them and actually talk through them, it almost it was a little bit empowering because I was like, great, I know how to explain myself against all of this. I'm good. I'm ready. I got my ammo on. I'm loaded. Let's go.
Channel switch up.
If you got criticism, I got something for you too.
Tone switch up.
If I had the beat pad, I would hit that right now, dude. Hit the beat pad. Something. Just hit it. Just one of them. To this day. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching that episode of the A3N Podcast. Remember, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes. Leave us a good one if you can. But yeah, we got a whole lot of great guests coming up, and I'm really excited about the podcast, David. I'm glad we got this launched. It's great to just talk about stuff.
I think people are waiting for it.
I hope so.
I've been
Let the numbers show it.
I had a lot to say about a lot.
Speak with your ears. Right? Yeah. All right, guys. Make sure you give this a big like. Like I said, check out the podcast. It's on all the platforms. And until next time, we out. Peace.